Okay, guys. So in this session, we are going to discuss about Hezbollah attacks on northern Israel. So we have discussed already about the pager attack, which has been launched against the Hezbollah, and then the possible retaliation and everything. So here in this session, we'll be talking about the retaliation from Hezbollah side. Okay, so Hezbollah have actually launched a missile attack on northern Israel, including Nazareth, and this has raised serious concern among Israel and its allies because there is a possibility of increasing or escalating conflict in the region. And if you look at it, Israel government also shared the video footages of the attack on social media, and the attack has been condemned by Israel and its allies, who have called for an end to the violence. The United States also have expressed concern about the situation and again asked both the parties to exercise restraint. The attack, have also been condemned by UN, which has called for a peaceful resolution to the conflict, and the UN Security Council is scheduled to meet on the issue. And this attack is coming at a time, when the tensions are heightened in the region, and Israel has been conducting airstrikes in Syria targeting the Iranian-backed forces. So Iran also accused of providing support to Hezbollah in this attack, actually. So the situation is, actually telling that there can be a potential escalation of the conflicts which is going on. Now let's look at Nazareth and its historical significance. So Nazareth is actually known as Jesus Christ's hometown, though Jesus was born in Bethlehem. It has been a significant religious and cultural center for centuries, attracting a lot of pilgrims and tourists from across the world. That's why this attack on Nazareth is also very significant in this context. The city's history is intertwined with the history or story of Christianity, and its churches and holy sites are revered by Christians of all denominations. Okay, now if you look at the current demography in this area, the city has 70% Muslims and 30% Christian population. This diverse population creates a rich, situations or tradition and customs. Nazareth is home to vibrant mix of cultures. I told you already, Muslims and Christians and mosque and churches and synagogues standing side by side. This unique blend of religious belief and cultural practices give the city a distinct character. Now, when it comes to the recent attack, Hezbollah missiles have caused significant damage to the city. The attack have left residents in fear and have disrupted daily life. The impact on the city's infrastructure and economy is substantial, raising concerns about the future of Nazareth. Okay, so now the widespread attack on northern Israel. So Hezbollah launched missiles across northern Israel, not just Nazareth, and civilian areas also hit badly. So attacks have affected residential areas and infrastructure and defense challenge if you look at Israeli Dome. Okay, so the extent of attack has raised concern about Hezbollah's capabilities and intentions. This unprecedented scale of missile strikes demonstrate a significant escalation in the conflict. Israel's military have responded also with airstrike on targets in Lebanon. However, the intensity of the attack suggests that the conflict may be entering a new phase with potential for further escalation, which is not good, right? Now, when it comes to the Iranian-made missiles, I've already mentioned that Iran is also accused of providing support and weapons. So, if you look at this new threat, many missiles used by this Hezbollah are Iranian-made, and this raised concern about its, Iran's growing influence in the region. So, the recent attack have heightened the increasing sophistication of Iranian weaponry, and it's actually a surprise also. Now, when it comes to this next one, the Iran recently unveiled a new solid fuel ballistic missile called Jihad. Okay, and this missile is designed to be more mobile and difficult to detect than the previous model. If you look at this, the extended range of this, the Jihad missile has a range of 620 miles, and this means that it could potentially reach targets in Israel, Saudi, and other countries in the region. Now, if you look at escalation situation, there is Israeli retaliation also. So Israel is now expected to retaliate and respond to Hezbollah attack, right? And the scale of the attack is likely to prompt a significant military response from the Israel. So Israel is not going to stay like that. So definitely there can be a possible retaliation, which can be massive. And this could include airstrikes on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon or even a ground invasion. Both are possible. And the potential, that means ground-wise as well as air-wise, is possible. The potential for large-scale conflict is a serious concern for all parties now involved. Hezbollah aggression. If a continued aggression from Hezbollah is also likely, which is possible, the recent attack have been the most aggressive action taken by Hezbollah against Israel in several years. And the group has shown a willingness to escalate the conflict, and its actions have raised serious concerns about its long-term intentions. A wider conflict, if you look at fears of larger regional conflict are growing. The current conflict is already spilling over into the wider region with tensions rising between Israel and other actors in the Middle East. So there is a risk that the conflict could escalate into larger regional war involving countries such as Iran, Syria, and Egypt. A collective attack on Israel is also possible. Okay. Now, if you look at Russian involvement, so there is a US intelligence warning. US officials warned months ago about the potential Russian support for Hezbollah. Even when I told about the hypersonic missile launch against Israel, that time also I have told you about possible Russian support. And this warning came after intelligence indicated that Russia was providing Hezbollah with advanced weaponry and training. Now look at the existing ties. Russia already has very good relation with Hezbollah. The two entities have a history of cooperation, including sharing intelligence and providing military support. Now, if you look at weapons supply, Russia may be supplying weapons to Hezbollah alongside Iran. This is a significant concern as it could potentially escalate the conflict and create a more dangerous situation for all parties involved. So things are not that great. So potential Russian escalation. Now, if you look at Saudi permission, Putin may seek Saudi Arabia's permission for involvement, potentially, leveraging their existing partnership to secure access to key infrastructure and logistics. This could be a strategic move to further undermine Western influence in the region. Now, Houthi rebels, we discussed already. Russia could supply cruise missiles to Houthi rebels in Yemen, strengthening their capabilities and posing a greater threat to regional stability. This move would likely be seen as an escalation by the international community, and it will further straining the relation between Russia and the West, of course. Now, direct attacks, these missiles could be used against Israel directly, escalating the conflict and potentially triggering a wider regional war. This would be highly risky move, and it could lead to a confrontation with Israel and its allies, posing a serious threat to Russian interest as well. So there are international pressure. The US and its allies may impose sanctions on Russia for supplying weapons to Hezbollah, further isolating Russia on the global stage and potentially impacting its economy. This could also lead to increased military tensions in the region, as the West may seek to deter Russia's action. Now, hypersonic missile threat is also there. If you look at the recent attack itself, we discussed in depth about that. Houthi rebels recently used a hypersonic missile against Israel. This attack highlights the growing threat posed by these advanced weapons, which are capable of, reaching targets at incredibly high speeds and altitudes. So the missile's trajectory made it virtually impossible to track and intercept, raising serious concerns about the effectiveness of existing defense system. And I've already told you very, very clear that US couldn't, US Navy naval force couldn't recognize or detect and prevent. Same with the case of Israel also. That the defense failure, no defense system could intercept the hypersonic missiles. Maybe the speed is also very important. That's why the missile's advanced design and the capacity made it impossible for current system to track and target it. So leaving Israel vulnerable to a new and dangerous threat of this hypersonic missile, which they accuse for Russia on supplying it to Hezbollah or Houthi rebels. The lack of countermeasure is a serious concern as it could now allow Hezbollah and other adversaries to launch similar attacks with more impunity. Now, if you look at the future concern, more advanced missiles could be supplied to Hezbollah. The recent attack serves as a worrying sign of the potential and for escalation in the region. All right. So there is a serious risk that Russia or Iran could provide Hezbollah, because they can provide more arms, even more sophisticated hypersonic missile, and further increase their capability. And it can potentially destabilize the entire region as a regional conflict may be coming up. The situations if escalate. The international community also must have to take steps to prevent this from happening, as it could be disastrous and devastating, as it is going to affect every other region also. Okay, now if you look at the international relations impact, US Russia, so there can be a further deterioration. Israel Russia, the hostility is increasing. India's position is more complicated because where we will stand with, right? India has been a neutral country and non-alignment is our stand, but Russia is our friend. So that will pose actually a serious concern. And if you look at the ongoing conflict, could further deteriorate relation between US and Russia, as the US is likely to condemn Russia for supplying weapons to Hezbollah and potentially impose sanctions. That is possible. And on the other side, the supply of advanced weapons to Hezbollah could lead to increased hostility between Israel and Russia, as Israel views Russia's action as a threat to their security. And even Houthi rebels also fired, this hypersonic missile in the central of Israel, and still they are accused Russia for the same, for supplying the missiles. Otherwise, from where they get it? Now, India is also having, issues, can face issues, and India maintains close tie with both Russia and Israel. So it's likely to find its position more complicated as a result of the conflict. Where and with whom we will stand is a bigger question. So now the pressure on India. If you look at US side, US may pressure India to take a stronger stand against Russia. Support for Hezbollah and adversary. There, Russia is supporting, Hezbollah, and Russia is supporting Houthi rebels. So if that is the case, so US may put pressure on India, and this pressure could come in the form of diplomatic sanctions or even economic pressure. It could be anything. It could be related to trade or anything related to diplomatic as well. The US is also likely to view India's continued relation with Russia as undermining its effort to isolate Moscow and weaken its ability to wage war in Ukraine. The US may also demand that India stop purchasing Russian military equipment and technology, which would be a significant blow to India's defense industry as well. Okay, now Israeli concerns, if you look at, Israel is likely to express concern about Russia's supply of advanced weapons to Hezbollah, viewing it as a direct threat to its security. Israel may also call upon India to take more vocal stance against Russia's sanction, potentially urging India to join international condemnation of Moscow. This would place India in a difficult position, as it needs to maintain good relations with both Israel and Russia. Now, the difficult decisions, if you look at, India is caught in a different and difficult and challenging diplomatic bind. It has a long standing strategic partnership with Russia and relies on Moscow for a significant portion of its military hardware. However, India also shares strong relation and ties with US and Israel, both of which are critical to its security and economic interest and trades everything. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has placed significant pressure on India, forcing it to navigate a complex web of alliances and interest. Now, the Indian government will need to clarify or carefully consider its options and make decisions that balance its various priorities. That's again very important. Okay, now Russia's disinformation campaign. So leaked documents, if you look at leaked, Kremlin document reveal a coordinated global disinformation campaign against Israel, aiming to sow discord and undermine public trust in Israel institutions. The documents detail a multifaceted strategy that includes manipulating social media narratives, planting fake news stories, and utilizing pro-Russian media outlets to spread propaganda. Government affiliated company, a Russian company with close ties to the Kremlin, has been identified as the primary orchestrator in this, anti-Israel content offline, online. So this company utilizes a network of bots, fake accounts, and paid influencers to amplify disinformation campaigns targeting key demographics and swaying public opinion. Social media focuses also. So Twitter or X is primary platform for spreading, this type of content. The goal of Russian campaign, if you look at government destabilization, Russia aimed to destabilize Netanyahu government by exploiting existing political divisions and amplifying the public dissent. So the campaign seek to undermine confidence in the government's ability to proven, or govern effectively. Potentially, it can lead to a loss of public support and a weakening of its political authority. And this could involve spreading misinformation about government policies, highlighting corruption allegations, and exaggerating the internal as well as external conflict. And when it comes to the public opinion, the campaign seek to turn public opinion against Israel by portraying Israel as an aggressor in the conflict with Russia and its allies. The disinformation campaign aims to shape public perception of the situation by promoting pro-Russian narratives and portraying Israel as a threat to the regional security. Okay, now international perception. Russia want to influence global perception of the conflict by framing the situation as a struggle between Russia and the West, with Israel aligned with the West. So the narrative aimed to isolate Israel internationally and diminish its political influence. Okay, what could be the future developments? So the escalating tension, relation between Israel and Russia is likely to worsen. Increased Russian involvement, Russia may become more openly involved in the conflict, and it will provide more military support to its allies or engaging in direct military action as well. Russia's objective may be to establish a greater presence in the region, secure its geopolitical interest, and exert influence over regional actors. This could involve deploying troops, providing advanced weaponry, or conducting covert operations. The possibility of a direct confrontation between Russia and Israel remains a major concern with potential consequences for regional stability and international relation. Now, global repercussion, the situation could have far-reaching international consequences. There can be humanitarian crisis, there can be economic sanctions. Okay, the humanitarian crisis means the conflict could lead to a humanitarian crisis with widespread displacement of people, food shortages, and disease outbreaks, and the deteriorating security situation could hamper all this aid efforts and create suffering of civilians or lead to suffering of civilians. Economic sanctions also we have discussed already. So that's all about this session. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next session.